The Flash issue 21, The Button Part 2, Joshua Williamson writing, Howard Porter on art. Barry and that goddamn treadmill.
That's why. Well, that's why I would make the joke before I started going to the gym. That's why I stay away from treadmills. They're evil. They only put you into trouble. But now that I go to the gym weekly, well, multiple times a week, I know that's not true. You just have to have coordination. Or a batarang with a tether on it.
Yeah, just to keep a hold, because...
just to keep a hold.
I mean, let's just evaluate the main thing that happens here. Batman goes on a ride with Barry on the cosmic treadmill.
Yep. That's so Silver Age. So Kirby-esque. Like, I kind of love it.
Yeah, especially with all the purples and greens kind of all around them as it's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, yeah, that was pretty good. My only complaint about the art in this is that the way that Porter draws the, all the yellow lines they added for the new 52 Flash outfit, like the way they're just always on him in this comic, regardless of what's happening. Because
Porter was part of that John's run of the mid 2000s with Wally, and it always looked fine with just the straight red, but it did look a little off.
That said, I love how he draws the speed itself.
Oh yeah, the speed looks great.
Well, it felt like a throwback to that time, and I liked that. Whereas the last one had Watchmen vibes with the 9-panel layouts and whatever. This had, mid 2000s comic vibes, at least for me.
Yeah, Flash specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
So last issue, the Batman issue last week started with a tease of Saturn Girl. Started with Legion of Superheroes teasing in Arkham. This issue went to something else that was teased in Rebirth, the Rebirth one-shot, and is, again, they're teasing here.
Thunderbolt!
Thunderbolt, thank you. Because we saw him with the pen.
Society.
Yeah, we saw him with the pen in Rebirth, and he was like, Thunderbolt, come, and he's raving, and they'll think he's crazy because he's, talking to a pen, and he's talking about the Justice Society.
He's because he's 90 years old, he's living in an assisted living community, and, I mean... Here's the thing, if I saw an old dude and I worked there yelling Thunderbolt, I'd give him his meds too. This isn't just Saturn Girl and Arkham, This, this has more, reality to it, which is dumb to say in a comic, but...
This excited me, so just because I didn't realize that we were going to open with this. That first page is like, oh yeah, this. Because obviously we kind of know where this is going at the end game, thanks to some covers that may or may not have been seen thanks to solicits.
Yep.
Aye.
But I still wasn't expecting this in it.
You weren't expecting to open the book and it was Johnny Thunder yelling at the sky.
No.
Exactly.
Well, but it makes sense with John's having helped, right? They were picking up on threads from from the one shot he wrote.
But this makes me wonder, there's issue 3, well, I say 3 and 4, you know what I mean, the next 2 issues of the crossover,
right.
Do they start with other things, carrying on from the Rebirth teases for various things?
I mean, what else was there? We had the Legion, we had Justice Society, we've gotten Wally and the Titans and that stuff.
Yeah, we had that. I guess...
Dinah.
Ollie and Dinah. We also had... See, again, that's their book. Fate was a thing with the Atom, but again, that's...
Yeah.
That was the Atom, but then again, that feels like it's going to be a JLA-esque.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, it could. I could see with all the time stuff and the different vibrational frequencies, I could see Ray Palmer's name coming up. And Batman works with
I wonder...
Ryan.
Yeah, it could just be that these 2 introductory chapters have them, and then the next 2 won't, because they're already not in present day anymore. By the time we get to the next issue.
If we go back and we see Saturn Girl in the next one, that'd be cool because there's some continuity between issues there. But this one,
alternating would work.
Yeah. I like too with Flash's history with the Justice Society. I mean, the whole Flash of Two Worlds and that whole thing. It works hand in hand really well.
So, I mean, the basic summary of the actual main plot of the issue is that Barry's oh crap, I need to find out what's going on here, and he goes to the watchtower, pulls the sheet off this cosmic treadmill as if it's a car, the old car that's the Old Faithful that he never thought he'd have to use again.
Well, it's only that he said it was too dangerous to use, so we put it away.
Which, by the way,
I like that.
I think instantly you know he's going. I mean, if you're a fan, you're a long-time fan, you've read this stuff, the Flash before. You know he's going for the treadmill. Like you get excited because you realise that's what he's about to pull over.
That's how he time travels. He ain't got a time sphere.
So I wanted to pick up on a couple of points throughout here, right? So one that I want to mention is when he's narrating towards the start and he's talking about his mother dying, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says it was a cold case, and no one ever knew what happened.
Yeah.
He does not mention his father going to jail for the crime. When did this change, and what changed it?
Timey-wimey. I noticed that too because he even, which is the part that got me right in the heart, is he told his mom, he goes, it's over, because he sees Thawne's dead, clearly dead body. The Porter drew him as a skeleton in a Flash suit here. You know?
He'll be back. He's only half dead.
Yeah. No, I know, but still, I thought that was pretty funny after our conversation last week. But yeah, he's put this to rest now, and he almost can go forward, but I thought that was interesting too, that his dad didn't do any time.
Yeah. Like, because in New 52, that was a thing, right? His dad was in prison.
That came from Flashpoint itself, because up to that point, his mom wasn't a thing. Like, he was the one superhero that didn't have parent issues.
Well, yeah, but I'm just confirming that in New 52, this was a thing. His dad was in prison, right? I'm not misremembering this. All right, so so this change is either Rebirth itself, when Molly came back, or it's just happened with Reverse Flash going to like touching the button and going wherever he's went, and that's altered history.
Yep.
Like that's maybe that's the one point I can maybe think of, because obviously this is just slyly put in there. This is like, it's not a big moment. It's just him making a passing comment about his history, and it's like, oh, but obviously we're picking up on it and going, well, okay, wait a minute, that's changed.
So when we talked to his dad in that issue a couple months back, right, when Wally, it's set up the Wally finding out about his dad.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and read that. Did they mention him being in jail? And how he being released?
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Well, that's the thing. We weren't looking for it because we just assumed he was. Yeah. Whereas now I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't recall them mentioning it, but it's harder to recall them not mentioning something.
It is, because you're like, oh, I don't know. So yeah, that was the thing. Batman's beat up to shit.
As he should be.
As he should be after that. But of course he's stubborn and he's coming along. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about the page. Well, several pages, but the one main one. It's when Barry goes into the Watchtower and we see this room full of collectibles. It's almost like the Watchtower's, like, do you know, like Batman has all these things in the cave from various things? Yeah. It's almost like that in the Watchtower, of various items and costumes.
It's like a lost and found.
Yeah, that's what they call it, isn't it? The Hall of Lost and Found.
The Hall of Lost and Found. Why not just call it the Lost and Found? No, it's the Hall of Lost, because it sounds more prestigious.
It's because Hal named it.
Yeah.
That's
Hal
why.
calls it the Hall of... Yeah, there's a tongue-in-cheek aspect to it.
Aye. That's why Hal has no pals.
I looked over at this page. This was my first read of the week. And I'm sitting there eating breakfast. And I ended up losing time and not finishing the issue because I was looking over these pages. And you have the Viking Princess boat right there in the back.
The time ship. Yeah. Well, me and Connor were talking about this during the week, actually, right? And we were saying, all right, we're going to name like half the things, and then Matt's going to come in and whip out his DC knowledge deck and name everything else.
Yeah. So I got to pull up the page again.
What we have a model of Skeet. We have a Dr. Fate helmet. Yeah. We have what looks like a Raven costume in the back. We have...
we have the Bug.
We have a Martian Manhunter costume. There's a giant purple egg. Do you know what this giant purple egg is, Matt?
It looks like Egg Foo, in 52. Remember?
Oh, right.
There was that egg guy on Oolong Island. That's what I thought that was. Looks like a spotlight of some kind.
I thought that was more a mirror, because it seems to be on like a crystal base, like the fortress style crystals.
Yeah, I can see that. There's something in a yellow glass sort of box that's moving around at super speed, by the looks of it, or at least quick enough that it's not still.
Yep.
Yeah.
We appear to have some sort of trident. Could be an Aquaman thing.
If you look above, where the Raven costume is, there's a rocket that kind of looks like the Kal-El's rocket.
Yeah. Looks like a version of that. Next to the weird Pope costume.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Me neither. You have Manhunter's costume in front of the egg, which I thought...
Yeah, Martian Manhunter's outfit.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Given that we've not seen him really...
No.
If at all.
Right next to Raven's, it looks like Zatara's turban that he wore in like early issues.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stuff is just Easter egg fun.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of it there that's also...
That's the thing. So much of it maybe is Easter eggs, but it'll be very, very specific what they're allowed to show. Could
be. Some of these might be very specific teases. And Zatara, for those who don't know, is Zatanna's dad.
Father. Yeah. Some armor-looking thing. It looks like it belonged to, like... You guys remember there was the Justice League of Japan that Morrison wrote about in Batman?
Oh, yeah.
He was doing Batman Inc. It looks like one of those guys' costumes.
It kind of reminds me of, the stuff the New Gods were wearing in Azzarello's
that too.
Stuff. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of one of those. Not any specific one, just the general aesthetic.
There's also a book at the front, which... We were thinking one of the magic books to do with the houses and all that kind of thing. One of those books that Constantine would whip out in the occasional...
Is that a bomb on the far left? It looks like a big bomb.
It does look like a sort of... one of those old school ridiculous big warheads, yeah.
I've just caught that.
But and then we go a few pages more.
Yeah, there's some outfits in the background a few pages later.
Major, where are they at? Yep. So you go to the next page under the Wally and him reenacting. And you got Our Man and Star Spangled Kid. And I can't figure out who the green one is.
Yeah, we couldn't get that green one either.
Yeah.
Those are JSA costumes. Now, as far as I know, there is no JSA.
No.
So, where did the Justice League get these from?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, even the whole time ship, the big one.
Yeah, but even then, also I just noticed the Kirby dot on that page.
I don't know, is it possible, like, even though the events get erased, the items that were in the Watchtower are still in the Watchtower for some reason?
But but even if you say that's not the Justice Society, that's the All-Star Squadron, that's still a superhero team that everybody has forgotten about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So those cannot be a coincidence. I don't think it was Howard Porter going, "Hey, do you mind if I draw some Justice Society?"
No, they feel very by request. They're too specific, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of specific,
it's Our Man.
Matt, do you have any idea what the costumes are? A couple of pages later,
on the Batman page.
The palette's got the star rose on the left.
Oh yeah, those are Legion suits.
Right. Okay.
That's. I don't know about the Mohawk and whatnot, but that is clearly Lightning Lad's get up in one of the timelines. It could be the Legion Lost, period that was like in between the original and the 3-boot Legion.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, I don't think there's any coincidence that the book, this crossover, which has teased both a Legion character and a JSA character, has all these JSA and Legion costumes in the background at these scenes.
Is it me, or is that underneath the Star Rose in one of the other tubes, is that a Green Lantern ring?
It is a Green Lantern ring.
Oh, it is, you're right.
Yeah. I didn't spot that before. I'm just every time I look, I see something new.
Just to explain for especially because I know some people watch or listen to the podcast who don't actually read the books first; they get trades later. I just want to point that these are just panels where Flash is narrating and explaining that he's going to use the cosmic treadmill. Batman shows up, but it's all this stuff in the background. It's packed with all these little details, and this is what we're picking apart right now. We're trying to spot everything.
And and the thing is, they're on panels where there's not actually a lot going on.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And even that one where you see the JSA costumes, they're center of the page. They're meant to bring your eye. And then when you get to the Legion costumes, they're right behind Batman, and they're drawn in a way that your eye is drawn to them.
They want us to notice them. Yeah, they want us to pay attention to this. It's not just Easter eggs.
Page with Batman is just one bubble, and it's just Batman standing.
Yeah, it's quite a big panel for what it is.
Yeah. Final one, Matt. Page after that's when Barry actually starts to use the treadmill when they're on it. There's a white and orange costume. Do you have any idea who that is?
It looks like the Russian Iron Man guy, Crimson Dynamo, I want to say. No, it's another one. I have to look him up.
You know what? Now you've said that, I can kind of see Russian.
Russian Red. Yeah. Russian Red. He was in the Generation Lost, a version of him with Booster and Jade and all those.
Right, so
Lost era.
So Barry starts to run with the treadmill, and they go through the time stream, and they see basically other timelines, and they even speculate, maybe this isn't other worlds, maybe this is actually our past.
History.
Yeah, this is our history that we don't remember. So we're really getting to this, and obviously this comes up a lot in action as well about, memories are muddled, things are missing, what's going on, we've been altered with. But we see them in classic costumes, we see different versions, we see like a kind of 90s-esque looking version, we see like a even older school, sort of 70s-esque looking. Yeah. We see a panel which
Silver Age.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a panel there that's clearly looking at Identity Crisis. It makes me think of it because it's Batman's pissed off and Zatanna's there, and it really reminds me of that whole him being pissed up at the mind wipe.
Well, and that makes sense because remember Barry was the deciding vote.
Wally, you mean?
Yeah.
No. That was Barry because that was
in the
Barry
flashback.
Was still around.
Yeah,
that's the flashback.
Because remember, it's Wally's the Flash in present day in that book, which is why I said Wally. Yeah, okay.
Right, and he figures it out, and Batman stumbles in on them mind wiping Dr. Light, but Barry was the deciding vote on if they should or not, and that was a big thing because he was like the goody-goody, even more so than Batman.
And Wally's against it though, because when Wally finds out, he's pissed about it. Yeah,
and it kind of tarnishes his view of this guy that was always his hero. And it kind of makes him hold it against Hal because Hal was kind of I gotta go back and reread it, but it was like Hal and Ollie had him split down the line, and words were said. But yeah, and then Barry didn't want them to do it to Batman, so even that look on his face there, like this is as a continuity wonk and as a lover of DC history, this issue is huge, just for that type of stuff. Because it's bringing up all of these things, and you have the big seven basically on that page on the top in the corner.
Martian Manhunter's there.
and Aquaman, and then when you add Batman and Flash right there, it makes it and then you look over at the next page and it's the Silver Age because look at Barry's belt,
and even Batman's blue cape and cowl. That's super series.
Yep, and Wonder Woman's look to it and whatnot. So I like that they're playing, that Williamson is doing the Johns thing and playing with their own history and how it's informed them to this point.
And Joe what it does as well, it reminds you that everything still matters. In some way, so everything still matters. Nothing, they may forget it at times, things may get muddled, but things still kind of matter. Here, we remember.
There's that old adage that every comic is someone's first comic. And as someone that came into comics, 13, 14 years ago now, it was this type of stuff and seeing this and going, I wonder who that is. And then talking to the guy at the comic shop, and then that's how I'd find this character. And it goes, and so when I hear people online complaining that this is just written for the old fanboys, it's like, well, no, like, this might make somebody want to go check out Identity Crisis or a Silver Age story that they're now packaging up in trade paperbacks and selling right next to the Rebirth stuff, and it's actually kind of genius from a business standpoint, but even from a story standpoint, that they're telling you like, I may not matter right now, but everything to this point does. So the more you read, the better,
I think even more specifically, I think what book shop should be doing right now is having the Flashpoint trade next to this, because they read this issue and they keep talking about Flashpoint, they keep talking about everything that happened, and of course the cliffhanger at the end of this issue, which surprises no one, we kind of knew this was a cliffhanger that was coming. So eventually they're running through the whole the timeline, the time stream, Speed Force, and everything goes white. They wake up, they're in the Batcave, but everything is not what like it is. It's not as high tech. There's just this and they're kind of realizing where they are.
It's literally a cave. like when we think the Batcave, we think of the giant computer and the dinosaur and the Joker card. This is literally a cave with bats in it that has a
couple of
desk.
tables. Yeah, it's got a table.
A desk and like a whiteboard, basically.
Yeah. Very low tech. Very low tech. It is basically they seem to be in the Flashpoint universe, and Thomas Wayne as Batman's there, and the final page is Batman or Bruce and Thomas looking at each other, and that's your cliffhanger. And as a cliffhanger goes, it's fine because sure.
And as as a character, reading Flashpoint, I wasn't a big fan of Thomas Wayne. I just thought he was like aggro, but the connection with Bruce over the son that he never had and the potential.
Oh yeah. That's why I loved the Azzarello mini, the Batman one, because it fleshed him out a lot, and this idea of the hope that there was a better world where he could die instead of his son, and his son was a better person than he was because he wasn't killing people and so on. Like that idea of him like getting this glimmer of hope because out there somewhere, his son's doing better than he ever could. There was some inspiration in that. So them interacting here. Should be interesting. Like, how does Batman feel when he finds out this version of his father's killing people and so on? Like, how did those conversations go?
This begs the question too: what point in Flashpoint have they crashed to? Because he knows about Bruce, but it was my understanding that Flashpoint wasn't an alternate history; it was
created by
the real world.
But that begs the question. Does it stay existing? Even though it got fixed and we went back into the universe and Pandora and presumably Manhattan manipulated things, because it was created, did it keep existing? Did Barry just leave it and it kept going?
So at that point, does it then become an alternate reality instead of just a timeline?
Right.
Alright, is there anything else we would like to talk about in the Flash 21 before we wrap it up?
Writing was good, and the art. I like seeing Howard Porter draw Flash. So
Joe, I thought it was really funny. Joe, we were comparing it to the 2000s Flash run, Jeff Johns' run. What I think is funny is that I've heard people complain that the one complaint I've seen about this issue is that it's too much exposition from Barry in narration, and that made me laugh because that's the exact same complaint that I remember people saying about Jeff Johns' Flash comics. So I almost just had a little chuckle and went, "Well, that's good then."
Yeah, there's the phrase Jeff position. Where, because, Johns would always, because again, he writes this is everyone's first comic, so if you pick it up, and it's never that encumbersome. Like, I would complain about Green Lantern, because it was the same, or Green Lanterns, at the early of the Rebirth, because it was the same dialogue every time. This, at least, is different enough that it just catches people up on what's going on.
Yeah, it's always contextual. Like if something affects something that's going on, he will mention it in his narration, kind of thing. That's typically how Johns does it. And there was also the running joke, of course, that every issue of Green Lantern started with "My name is Hal Jordan, and I'm the Green Lantern of Section 2814."
Yep.
Every single time. But no, this was another enjoyable issue. I think I preferred the last issue of this crossover a bit, just because the action of it was so tense. It was all about the countdown of this fight. The emotion in the fight was a lot more palpable, whereas here it was more about, okay, now we actually have to do some plot things. And
it's funny how the Batman issue is packed with action, and then the Flash is packed with moving forward. Like, meta-wise, it works.
Yeah. I think last week was probably a better comic, like you say, in terms of as to read this one issue, it reads better. But this one did so much more for me in terms of just look at all the Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, it had a lot more of that in it. Yeah, that's fair. It wouldn't surprise me if the next issue, the Batman issue, is just one scene again, but it's like Batman and Thomas Wayne like just talking for the issue, and Barry's like. It wouldn't surprise me if the whole issue is just them in that cave, discussing what's going on.
I mean, if you've read Nailbiter, Williamson does that so well. Conversations like that set in one room. So I could see that, and I could see that's why he jumped at the chance to catch Tom King up, But yeah,
I can do this issue. This is an easy issue.
Yeah.
So this is my kind of issue. All right. Okay, so we'll have more on the button next week. We have the next part then. So that's the Flash number 21. We all enjoyed it. It was full of Easter eggs, full of fun universe stuff, and yeah, so cool throwback to the Flash era, the 2000s as well.
Yeah.